Servus and welcome back! Have you ever wondered what computing was like in the late 1990s? Back then, when the new millennium was just around the corner, Y2K horror stories were commonplace and Half-Life 1 and Age of Empires 2 were among the hottest PC games. Well, good timing, come along for a ride! In order for us to travel back to the year 1998, we first need a time machine, and fortunately I've got exactly what we need. This is an MSI MS6119BX2 and it contains Intel 440BX chipset. At the time it was Intel's most popular chipset because of its fabulous overclocking capabilities. Oddly enough, other problems could arise from this, but frankly I don't care because overclocking is not today's issue. But there was something else in the late 1990s, namely the Great Capacitor Plague. This was the premature mass failure of aluminium electrolytic capacitors with liquid electrolytes. And unfortunately, that's exactly what we have here. So, let's take a closer look at it at the workbench. Well, here we are at the bench, and as we can see clearly, this is the mainboard. I really like this mainboard because it's so versatile. It has an AGB port, it has 4 PCI slots, and it also has 3 ISA slots. So I can take advantage for the graphics card with the AGP slot. I've got 4 PCI slots where I can fit my expansions in it, for example a USB 2 card or a network card, because as you can see here clearly, this board has some USB 1.1 ports but no sound and no network capabilities because it's old. And the biggest problem here is the capacitors. And as you can see, they are open, they are dried out, and there is a lot of unbeautiful stuff going on. So, and this one, don't know if you can see it, this one is already bulging. So that's the culprit here. There's already a bulging cap. The others are okay, but just a matter of time. But these two, they are absolutely gone and filthy. And if I don't change them, they will ruin the whole board. And this is something I think nobody wants. Well, but first I want to try if it still works. That would be a good point to start. So what do we need? We need some memory, check, normal SD-RAM, and we need a processor. And because I told you it was going to be a late 90s computer experience, I wanted to try this. This is an old Pentium 2 300, if I'm not mistaken. But as you can see here, this is the processor, and this is a really massive heatsink. So I don't know where this was mounted and what was the purpose of this big heatsink, but as you can see, there is absolutely no way of fitting this onto the board. I don't want to ruin it. I have also tried to remove the heatsink, but after 25 years or something, it is rock hard, and I tried it with heat, but no way. It doesn't move at all, and I don't want to destroy the processor, so this one's not an option for this build, but I've got something other. This is a slightly newer Pentium 3 from the same era, one of the first Pentium 3s, exactly. It's a 500 megahertz Calamath. I hope I get this right. And as you can see, it fits perfectly. So just plug in the fan. There already a fan, is already a fan, perfect. So what else do we need? We need some memory, we need a graphics card, and we need a power supply. And then we might see if this mainboard is still functional. So let's try this. Everything is plugged in. I've got here my trustworthy ATX power supply. Thankfully, this is already ATX standard. Processor is plugged in, memory is plugged in, video card is plugged in. So everything good to go. Let's try if this motherboard is still working, if there is still life in it. So let's shorten the power pins, just wait a moment. Yeah, should be those two. And oh, yeah, it is running, but do we get a picture? Yeah, it's running, it's alive. Wonderful. Pentium 3 MMX with 500 megahertz. Perfect. And no keyboard or something, of course, because I don't have anything plugged in. But it proves that the mainboard is still working. Although it has those crusty, leaky, ugly caps on it. But doesn't matter, the board is fine, it's still working, so perfectly. Next step will be removing and replacing these old, rusty, crusty and dangerous caps. Let's try if I succeeded in refurbishing this mainboard or if I completely destroyed it. Let's give it a try. Yeah, the fan is spinning. Power supply. Ooh, yeah, there we are. Perfectly fine. Oh yeah, it seems all the hustle, all the pain with the new caps and the shitty soldering iron that I have was worth it. System is happy, system is running. The next step will be finishing the time machine to get back to the year 1998. After the whole ordeal I went through in recapping the old time traveler mainboard, now it's finally time to reassemble, or better, assemble the time machine. And therefore, we need a case. This is it. Maybe you noticed something. I did it too, and it isn't beige at all. But to be honest, this is in pretty good condition. It's ATX, so building should be no problem, and it was available. A beige one, not. A few days after I found this case, I found something else. This HP 1502 monitor, which goes perfectly fine with the color of the case. But wait, there is more. I also have these old PC speakers from back in the 90s, so monitor, speakers, case. I think this will look pretty nicely. Let's start building the time machine. Let's start with the mainboard, and there is a little thingy. As you can see, this mainboard has no built-in I/O shield, and there was also no I/O shield in the case. And because I think it doesn't look really pretty when putting it together without the shield, I came up with a solution, and it's 3D printing to the rescue. And after a few attempts, it fits pretty nice. So, problem solved. Next step, the power supply. This one came with this case. It's perfectly fine for this era. Matches the connectors on the mainboard. I disassembled it, I cleaned it, I tested it, and I also recapped it, so it should be good to go. This is fine. Next, the graphics card. And there are many period correct possibilities, but I'm going with this one. Maybe you can read what's written on here. I don't know. Maybe you know it. I'm going with this one here. This is a not exactly time period correct graphics card. It's an GeForce FX 5200. I know it's not the best graphics card. It's way not the best graphics card out there. Anyhow, it has a big advantage, and this is the DVI port. So I can plug in a DVI to HDMI adapter and can easily capture things from there, because capturing VGA was in the past, I would say, not the easiest thing to do. So let's go HEP, let's go FX 5200. Yeah, this is it. Anything besides the drives is in the computer. Perfectly fine. Give me a second and I'm gonna search for some optical drives, a floppy drive and a hard drive.
3 weeks later.
Well, 3 weeks is not really fast, isn't it? Actually, this episode was supposed to be finished in the old year, but then things happened. First, I got sick, and then the choice of retro computing kicked in. Old hardware that no longer works properly. It took a few hard drives, a few disk drives and even some old sound cards to get this system up and running stable. Retro tip: not everything was better back in the old days. Of course, regarding the hard drive, an adapter like this would have been a solution, but I wanted to go with an old mechanical hard drive. Everything now works perfectly and runs stable, and to be honest, I think it looks really cool. I quite like it. You probably may have recognized this old wallpaper. It's not new pixel art, it's actually really old. It's from Space Quest 3. And it's exactly the same picture I had back in the days with my old Windows 98 machine. For some reason, it seems that I have a really soft spot for pixel art from the 80s. The time when graphics were really built pixel by pixel with the 16 glorious colors of the EGA color palette. And not scanned in like some later graphics from the VGA era. Anyway, back, or rather forward, from the late 80s to the late 90s, and let's play some games. Welcome back to Age of Empires. Oh wow, what a game this was. Let's try a campaign. William Wallace, Joan of Arc, Barbarossa. Let's try Barbarossa.
So, you have come to hear the tale of Frederick Barbarossa. Better order us another round. Maybe 3. You see, it is a great tale. But then again, everything about the man was great.
Let's try something else. What do we have here? Oh yeah. What about System Shock 2?
Look at you, hacker. A pathetic creature of meat and bone, panting and sweating as you run through my corridors. How can you challenge a perfect, immortal machine?
Is Xerxes. Security system replication restricted. for the good of all of us. All unauthorized database interactions will be dealt with to the utmost degree of the law.
In 2291, in an attempt to control violence among deep space miners, the new Earth government legalized no-holds-barred fighting. Leandri Mining Corporation, working with the NEG, established a series of leagues and bloody public exhibitions. The fight's popularity grew with their brutality. Soon, Leandri discovered that the public matches were their most profitable enterprise. The Professional League was formed. A cabal of the most violent and skilled warriors in known space, selected to fight in a grand tournament.
Hello, Stuart Residence?
This is Gabriel Knight calling for Prince James.
Yes, one moment, please.
Mr. Knight? What in God's name is...
I know you must be frantic. Let me explain. Last night, someone came into the bedroom through the window and took your son. I followed them, but I couldn't catch up. They went to the train station and boarded a train for Toulouse. I believe they got out of a little place called Cuiza. I'm still trying to track what happened next.
Cuiza? Near Rennes-le-Château?
Yes, you know it?
Gabriel, thank you very much for informing me. I must think for a moment, please.
I think that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me if you like this setup and tell me if you had done something differently. We'll see you again in another video here on my channel. So long, stay safe, Servus, and see you the next time.
The Pharaoh is the heart of Egypt. The land is its body, and the people are its blood.